These days, if you go to a metro, maybe a bus or a flight, you will find that everyone is busy in the mobile doing something on the social media. On an average, 2 to 3 hours we are spending on social media every day. There's a data which says that maybe 20-30% of the time, maybe we are doing something constructive on the social media. But majority of the time, we are seeing something which actually is not required. And what is happening because of that additional time? What is happening? Maybe we are compromising on our sleep time, maybe family time, maybe me time, maybe something which we want to do for so many times, maybe book reading or maybe something else, but we are not able to do. So many wastages are there just because of one trigger. Today, I'm going to talk about 3M, Muda, Mura, and Muri. And out of these 3M, I'm going to talk about the first M, which is Muda. Now, Muda is called wastage. Now, in the previous video, I talked about the basic concept about the 3M, that what exactly is this 3M all about, what is the meaning of it, and I shared some example. And in this particular video, I'm going little bit deep with respect to the first M. I'm going to talk about the 8 key wastages, and then I'll be taking one example of industry to explain that how these 8 wastages are happening just because of one reason, and what are the industry challenges that we are having and what we can do with respect to that. So when we talk about Muda, that is wastage, the intent is that whatever is non-productive, now it could be the time, maybe we are waiting for something, it could be the inventory pile up, it could be an additional process, it can be the additional movement, all those things are wastages. Now there's an acronym called downtime, DOWNTIME. So through that I will try to explain what all these 8 wastages are. So it stands for, D stands for defects, the errors which are coming. O stands for overproduction, we are making more than what is required. Then W stands for waiting, that the idle time between the different steps. N stands for non-utilized talent, that we are not using the people's skill completely. T stands for transportation, that there is unnecessary movement of material from here and there. I stands for inventory, that there is excess inventory which exactly is not needed. M stands for the motion. Now the physical movement of worker is there which is unnecessary. And the last is E, which is talking with respect to the extra processing. Now we are doing something much more which actually is not required. So let's take up an example of a MIG welding process. Now assume that there's a line wherein there are 5 different steps are there for the MIG welding, and we are at the step 1. Now there are 3 key parameters. The first parameter is with respect to the process parameter, with respect to the gas flow, with respect to the voltage and current. The second parameter which is critical is with respect to the competence of the people, that the qualified and the skilled person should work. And the third one is with respect to the procedures, work instructions, and how to do the exact work. Now assume that there is a rejection which is happening between 5 to 20% on the first MIG welding machine. And now let's try to understand that how these 8 losses are getting interrelated or maybe integrated with one particular loss. So when we talk about the first, that is about the D. So here the D means the defect. So what is happening here is that we are producing 5 to 20 parts out of 100 welding parts which are not good. And why it is happening? Because there can be a problem with respect to the operator, job setup, or maybe we are not following the right process. So now let's talk about the second waste which is happening. It is about overproduction. Now just to make sure that we have committed to the client that we are going to produce 1000 pieces, and we know that there will be around 20% of rejection or maybe internal some failures which are going to be there. So we are making 20% more. Now when we are doing more production, so it means we are creating additional burden on ourselves. When we are putting an additional burden on ourselves, again it's a waste which customer is not paying for that. So that brings a third waste which is there. And the third waste is with respect to the waiting. Now, whenever rejection is happening in the process, so what is happening? Now, the second process, third, fourth, and fifth are waiting because there is a rejection on the first process, and they are thinking that when they will get the right material. And as long as they are waiting, because some rework, repair, or maybe segregation has to be done, maybe some re-inspection has to be done. So it's a waiting time Again, it's a waste and nobody is paying for that. That leads to the fourth waste. Now, this waste is with respect to the non-utilized talent. Now, what is happening? The operator who is a skilled one. Now, rather than spending time on producing the part, that particular operator is doing a low-end job of maybe doing the rework, repair, or maybe segregation. Now, company is paying him for doing the welding, but just because it is a part of the process that person is doing, so we are underutilizing that particular person. So that is another loss which is there, or the wastage which is there. So that leads to another particular waste. Now that is related to transportation. Now it is not that everything is happening on the machine. Maybe when we are doing the rework or repair, we are taking those parts and going to a different station, which is the repair or the rework station. We are putting it there, we are doing that, then it is going to another station for the reinspection, and then it is coming back, and then the process flow is starting. So what is happening is that something which should go like this, it is a zigzag movement where something is going somewhere and then it is coming back here again. So there is an additional transportation cost or the wastage which is happening there. One another waste which is there is with respect to the inventory. Now when we know that regularly there is a lot of wastage which is there in the process, we know that there is 15 to 20% of rejection. So what you are going to do, we are going to buy additional raw material, additional BOP, we are going to have more additional inventory in the in process and the final. Now nobody is paying for those additional inventory, so that is additional waste which is generated in the process. So another waste which is there is with respect to the motion. Now when we talk about motion, primarily what is happening? The operator is moving from one place to another. Maybe the operator is keeping the rejection at one place, then maybe going to another station to pick up the re-inspected piece and then coming back, taking it back, again checking it and then going to the second station. So there is additional movement of material, additional movement of operator which is there. Again, it's a waste and nobody is paying for that. And the last is with respect to extra processing. Now, whenever any additional material is being processed, maybe re-inspected, re-welded, or maybe some paperwork is there, nobody is paying for that. That's the additional cost what is happening there. Now just see what is happening. Just with the rejection of 5 to 20% which is happening in the welding process, what is increasing and what is decreasing. So let's talk what is increasing. Certainly the inventory cost is increasing, the manpower cost is increasing, the storage space we need more, the premium freight cost for supplier and the customer is increasing, and certainly the cost of production is also increasing. And what is decreasing? Profitability is decreasing. The customer satisfaction is going down because customer is not sure whether they will get the desired quantity or not, as well as the quality. Then the on-time delivery, there is always a challenge with respect to that. Certainly the team morale and the quality reputation, that is also getting impacted just because of that. And the most important thing is, when none, customer is not paying anything. Everything is being done by the organization and nowhere this cost is being seen. To talk about the key challenge the industry is facing is with respect to the cost of poor quality. When we calculate cost of poor quality, we generally calculate the major losses which is there. We never try to understand about the excess inventory, the additional movement, the cost of repair, rework, segregation, and all those things which are happening in the organization in just front of our eyes, but we don't realize that indirect cost which is impacting the overall cost of production. So that's the biggest challenge that industry is facing. Now to talk more with respect to the overall root cause, again if you see the root cause still remains the same that we discussed in the beginning. Three key root causes. The skilled manpower is not being used. Maybe the process parameters are not being effectively implemented, the job setup is not there, or maybe third, the jigs, fixtures, measuring instruments which needs to be there, they are not adequately provided. And just because of these three things, there are 8 wastages which is happening. So if I do a summary, I talked about 3M and then I talked about the first time which is about Muda. After that I talked about the 8 wastages in the form of acronym downtime. Then I talked about one example with respect to the MIG welding and how a simple rejection is impacting 8 different kind of possible wastages which are there. And then I talked about what is increasing and what is decreasing just because of Muda. My next video will be with respect to the second time, which is with respect to the Muda. Regularly, I'm getting a lot of feedback from your side and they're helping me to understand your expectations. So please do continue that. In case you want to understand a little bit more about this particular video, you can find a link below, and if you click that, you find a blog there. And in case you're liking these kinds of blogs and videos, you can always share with your friends and colleagues, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and my website bhavyamangla.com. Recently, I have published my book with respect to the supply chain management. So in case you want to know a little bit more about it, you will find a link below. You can click that and you can find more information with respect to that. Thank you.